What happens when hidden footage exposes a company's dangerous lie? I once represented a client who had sustained a life-altering head injury in the most avoidable of circumstances. He'd gone into a popular national chicken grilling chain restaurant and, after using the restroom, slipped and fell on a slick, greasy patch of water in the hallway leading out into the lobby. It wasn't an everyday puddle. This was something far more dangerous. A residue created by early grill cleaning procedures that should never have occurred while customers were still on the premises. To set the stage, the restaurant in question had very specific policies. According to their written guidelines, employees were never supposed to begin cleaning the grills until after closing. Cleaning these large commercial grills was a messy, time-consuming process, involving the application of strong chemicals and the hosing down of grease-coated surfaces. The entire operation could take up to 2 or 3 hours and produced a hazardous slurry of greasy water. Management guidelines clearly stated that the cleaning process must occur after the last customer had left, precisely because of the dangers and the mess involved. But there was a problem: an economic and managerial pressure that put these policies at odds with daily operations. The corporation, apparently unwilling to pay employees for more than an hour's worth of labor after closing time, created an environment where staff, from shift managers down to line cooks, felt pressured to start the cleanup well before the official closing hour. This unofficial, time-saving tactic meant that while paying customers still ordered and ate their meals, cooks would be in the back spraying down grill surfaces with hoses, slathering on chemicals to dissolve caked-on grease, and tracking the resulting slick residue onto floors where unsuspecting patrons would walk. It was a disaster waiting to happen, and one day, disaster struck. My client, who had been a regular customer, stepped out of the restroom into a hallway where greasy water had been tracked by one of the cooks who had begun cleaning 2 hours before the restaurant closed. The cook, wearing a protective smock and special slip-resistant shoes, acknowledgments in themselves that the environment was hazardous, had wandered into the lobby area after initiating the cleaning process. The greasy mixture ended up on the floor where customers traveled. My client slipped and fell hard, hitting his head so severely that he suffered a subdural hematoma. He required emergency surgery to relieve the pressure of blood accumulating around his brain. It was a life-threatening scenario caused entirely by corporate penny pinching and the willful neglect of their own policies. Naturally, we brought a claim against the company. They fought back fiercely. Conveniently, the restaurant's video surveillance system wasn't working on the day of the incident. An odd and unfortunate coincidence. To make matters more challenging, the cook who'd been fired right after the event had allegedly vanished from the face of the earth. The corporation claimed they couldn't locate him during litigation, but I did my due diligence. After tracing leads through a relative, I found the cook and prepared to call him as a witness. As expected, he admitted to cleaning the grills before closing that day, but, fearing repercussions or hoping to align himself with the corporate stance, he denied being the one who tracked the grease into the lobby. All the employees, when questioned, sang the same tune. They had done nothing wrong, and certainly hadn't cleaned early. The corporation maintained this story throughout the entire 3-week trial. Over and over, their narrative was consistent. This never happens. Cleaning before closing is strictly against our policy. Our employees wouldn't dare violate these. Something else must have caused the fall. But before trial, I had a conversation with the cook. He was angry at being fired, and off the record, I asked if he believed the restaurant still engaged in early cleaning practices. He said, "Absolute." That got me thinking. If they were so brazen as to continue this dangerous shortcut, maybe I could catch them in the act. The trial was underway, and they were still swearing up and down that early cleaning never happened. On the first day of the proceedings, I dispatched my investigator to the exact restaurant 2 hours before closing, the same time of day my client had been injured, and told him to record everything on his cell phone. Sure enough, the investigator came back with damning footage. There they were, hoses out, water spraying, cleaning chemicals applied well before closing time. It defied belief that during the very trial about their dangerous conduct, the restaurant continued to engage in the exact practice they claimed never occurred. To ensure this wasn't a one-off event, I sent the investigator back on another day, during another shift, and the scene repeated itself, the crew cleaning well before closing, directly contradicting the official stance. Finally, on the last day of trial, the defense called their regional general manager. He testified with absolute certainty that early cleaning was never done. He insisted the company followed strict closing protocols and that we'd misrepresented the facts. He was the defense's star witness, their final stand, and he just stated unequivocally that this never happened. We asked the judge for a sidebar and revealed the videos to opposing counsel. Their attorney nearly panicked. The judge allowed us to use the footage in rebuttal. And so, the very last thing the jury saw before deliberations began was a 5-minute compilation of video footage, complete with audio of the hose and the clanking of cleaning tools, showing employees doing exactly what the corporation claimed was impossible and against policy. With those videos, we destroyed their central defense. It was a spectacular turning point. After a 3-week trial filled with denials and misdirection, the jury now had concrete proof. The corporation's representatives had either lied or were completely out of touch with their own operations. The deception crumbled, and the truth shone through as plainly as the water on the floor. Needless to say, we prevailed. It's extremely rare to use sub rosa video against a defendant like this. Typically, once litigation begins, companies stop doing whatever they shouldn't be doing. But in this case, the restaurant didn't get the memo, and their ongoing misconduct sealed our victory.